Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. Let's get straight down to it, shall we? So obviously another busy night in the boxing world. It's fantastic at the moment, isn't it? It's what boxing should be. After, let's be honest, for a ropey 4 months post-lockdown, boxing is back. I think it's neck and neck, if not overtaking UFC now, which is, for me as a boxing fan, is great, because let's be honest, UFC was smashing it during the first couple of months of lockdown with the big fights on, and boxing wasn't, was it? It was putting on average cards, mediocre cards, and no one was really watching. So it's great that it's back. Bob Arum, Al Heyman, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, they all deserve credit for that. But we're talking about Yarde, Linares last night. It was a controversial decision. I watched the fight. I had Yarde winning. I had him winning 115, 113. I know some people go, oh, you know, it was a draw or half for one. I had Yarde 7-5. Yes, he was tentative at the start. He didn't really dictate or force things. He kind of held back and was getting out jabbed by Arthur. Got no problem with that. I scored Arthur 3-1 up after 4. But that was when I felt Yarde realising, and his trainer, he's getting a lot of stick for this, but I believe that the corner of ice was quite good at times. They were aware they were losing. They said, Anthony, you need to put it on him more, and I think he did. He started to control the pace of the fight. He took the centre of the ring. He was backing Arthur up, and he was going to the body and head. Yes, there's room for improvement. He still needs to, a bit like Dubois last weekend, he still needs to learn how to defend the jab better. He needs better head movement. But I think the big thing was with Yarde, the reason why he started slow was because of the Kovalev fight. He was worried about gassing out, wasn't he? He knew Arthur's a tough cookie. He knew he wasn't going to get him out of there like a lot of his opponents early. So he wanted to pace himself. He didn't want to gas out like he did against Kovalev. Hence the slow start. But yeah, there's no question about it. He was probably too passive. He went the other extreme. So he needs to find that middle ground. But he lost, for me, he lost 3 of the first 4 rounds. But then he took over. You could probably give Linden round 8. I think, you know, he had a good right hand that caught Yarde and shook him up. You could see that a little bit, not buzzed him, but, you know, got his attention, and, you know, he was landing the jab. But certainly the last 3-4 rounds, for me, maybe I was watching a different fight from everyone else in the boxing world and social media, but he dominated. And let's be honest, he very nearly had Arthur stopped in that last round. He caught him big time, didn't he, with a check right hook. Had Arthur all over the place, holding on for dear life. And it had been another minute of the fight, with Arthur backed up on the ropes, he was probably going to be out of there. So for me, I had Yarde winning comfortably in the last 4 rounds and the majority of the last 6. So I had him, after a very slow start, winning 7-5. That doesn't mean it was a perfect performance. It wasn't. But for me, it was a bad decision. And I totally agree with Yarde, and he's discussed at the decision. He didn't have to win. And as you can see, Linton Arthur, he even looks shocked. He even looks resigned to defeat when the decision's being read out. His head's down, Yarde's heads up, chest full, proud. He looks surprised, he looks shocked. It was a bad decision. I cannot figure out these judges. No, I disagree entirely. Yes, it wasn't a 117, 111 fight. That's way off. I totally agree with that. You know, I don't have Yarde winning 9-3, but I certainly have him 7-5, possibly 8-4. There's no way he lost that fight. And that's not because I'm a Yarde fanboy, but I'm just seeing what I saw, and I just can't believe. I go on social media tonight, and, it's almost like he's getting buried. Now, you know what I mean? Like, Yarde trying to the Ajay is getting buried as well, isn't he? I mean, Tunde, for me, has been with Yarde since the beginning. You know, he built him up. He built him up to a world title shot. You know, he can't be that bad. It's just amazing how the boxing world turns on people. They turn on Dubois, you know, who's the next big thing, the rising star, and now they're turning on Tunde and Yarde, and it's not fair. It's not right. As for Linares, yes, we knew he was a slick boxer, but for me, I don't want to say I'm burying the guy. He's going to do nothing at world level. He's got no punch power. He's not going to hold off the big guns at light heavyweight. I mean, can you imagine him fighting, Berbatov? Can you imagine him fighting even Canelo if he comes up? Again at light heavy. These are guys that, he's potentially going to fight. He can't hold them off. And he's got a fairly decent chin, but when Yarde caught him, he was definitely doing a bit of a wobble dance, wasn't he? So, for me, a slick boxer, but he's going to get found out as, he goes up the rankings and he fights, the likes of, Bertabiev, not Bertabov, and fights these kind of champions. Bertabiev is gonna go walk through him. Trust me. So it was a bad night, I think, for the judges, certainly in London. Does it do any favours? You're looking at Linares now. He's not a big name. He's not going to be a world champion, but he's killed a big name off there, hasn't he? Yarde's got a year of rebuilding now. He's 29. He looks dejected now. He looks disheartened. It's going to be a big make or break year for Yarde. I don't think he gets rid of Tunde. I don't think that's fair. But a lot of people are pushing that. It could be interesting to see how he goes. I was impressed with his body type. You could see he leaned out a bit, which was good. He was carrying less muscle mass. I think he had better cardio in his fight. Yes, he was probably a bit over-tentative. Yes, he needs better head movement. Yes, he's got to defend that jab more. He's going to get hit at world level more as well. Certainly fighting Bivol, Bertabiev. That's for sure. But he's going to be far more competitive. He carries more bulk, more size, more threat, more weapons, more damage to the world champions. Yarde potentially, I saw in a Kovalev fight, can potentially hurt these guys if he puts it on them. Linares is going to get nowhere near him, and I'll be willing to bet a lot of money. And that's not hating on the guy. He's a slick boxer, but he's European level. He's not world level. And it's disappointing for me. Very disappointing last night. And it's a big rebuilding job. As for Linares, though, he's laughing, isn't he? Because now he's pushed himself firmly into the top 10 in the WBO, the RBF, and he's probably going to, if Frank Warren pushes it, he could be in line for a mandatory position next. That's where he's at after 18 fights. So I personally would like to see him fight for the European next. I don't think he's anywhere near, like I said, anywhere near world level at the moment, skill set or experience wise. I think a European fight would be best for him, and then we gauge it from there. But it's a big rebuilding process for Yarde, but obviously he can't drop down to low level, British level. I think he's still got to fight a European name, someone just short of the European champion. Take a couple of months off, rebuild, regroup, just subtle changes. But I think there are a lot of it. I'm not hating on Yarde tonight. A lot of people are. I'm not hating on Tunde. Yes, Tunde might be better advised to accept more weaknesses. He might want to speak to an old hat in the game like a Jimmy Tibbs, but keep that pairing. You cannot beat brotherhood. You cannot beat someone who's been there since the beginning. The bond. Trainers who leave. Look at Hatton. Look at Tyson. Fighters who leave their homebound trainers, the ones that have been them from the start, are never the same. You can't just replicate bond with a trainer. Training's more than just technical and holding pads. It's a bond. It's like a fatherhood. It's a brotherhood. So don't get rid of Tunde. Ignore the haters, but just focus subtle changes. Yarde's not far off. I want to see immediate rematch though. That's what he should be pushing for. And trust me, if there are rematches, it happens. I fully expect Yarde to put this right. A faster starter, putting it on half and more, and I think he stops him. I really do. I think he stops him with eight rounds next time. He knows he can hurt him now, and it's just a case of better head movement. Moving on now, Spence Garcia. It was like I predicted. I had a feeling Spence wasn't quite the same fighter he was 3 years ago, and he wasn't for me. It was competitive, but Spence is still for me 85%, 80%. So it was a fantastic performance considering that. I think he needs another fight before fighting Crawford. He doesn't beat Crawford right now. I don't think he's fully back to his best or recovered. I think that was a big mental hurdle he climbed last night, though. Fell back on his excellent jab and his boxing skills. He was just outworked Garcia. Garcia's kind of disappointing, isn't he? Because he's on the slide, but it's just his whole attitude. He kind of accepts defeat more. You know, I miss the old Garcia, the young, brash, got in Khan's face, refused to lose kind of vibe. You know, he was almost impossible to beat. Now he's, you know, against the top guys, he almost rolls over and tickles his belly. A bit disappointing with Garcia. He got outworked, outmuscled. But listen, taking nothing away from Spence. What a brilliant performance that was, considering, like you say, he's only about 80% right now. You could see that. He didn't take any risks. He outworked Garcia, controlled the pace of the fight, out-jabbed him, and just countered him all night, didn't he? Garcia sort of walking into punches. Yeah, you know, he's got a good engine. He's always going to be there and try and make it a rough and tough fight. But he didn't have a plan B, did he? For me, Garcia's on the way down now. And Spence, you know, quite rightly, for me, he's the number 2 welterweight in the world and holds his position. But he needs another good fight, a solid test, even maybe a Porter rematch. Or, you know, even a Furman who's obviously on the slide before taking on Crawford. He's not ready for Crawford yet. I think he needs another 6 to 10 months of just, you know, camps and training and recovering, because he's not going to beat Crawford unless he's 100%. And at the moment, he's not. But credit, it was a very solid performance. And what a comeback after a horrendous car crash and 14 months out the ring. What a night of boxing. We're back next weekend for the big one, AJ. I'll be back then with my podcast. Let me know what you guys think about Yarde. I think it's a bad decision. Let me know what you think about, obviously, Spence win last night. And does he have any chance against Crawford right now? I'm saying no. All right, guys, I'm out. I'll see you soon. Bye.